You were so excited to see this movie, and you didn't see this movie just once. You saw this movie 1.5 times?
Fortunately, I didn't see most of it because I fell asleep a third of the way through the movie. I woke up and the dog's in the hospital. I'm like, wait, what happened? Who won?
But we went and we saw it a second time. Hi, I'm Teresa. Welcome to our weekend show of Cocoon Cast, where we deep dive into movies and discuss all things cinema.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. Today we'll be discussing the new movie, Arthur the King.
Rebecca, we have some Spinal Tap news.
We're officially getting a full-length sequel.
Oh my. Let's get started.
Michael Light only sees himself as a racer, but when he disastrously loses a race due to his own pride, he's forced to consider that he might have to forge a different path to personal success. Elsewhere, Arthur, a dog, is just scrounging by to survive. When their paths cross 3 years later during Michael's last race, will they learn to trust each other to help conquer their obstacles, or will they shut down and lose the potential of all they could be?
Rebecca, let's talk about this movie. You were so excited to see this movie, and you didn't see this movie just once. You saw this movie 1.5 times? 1.5?
1/3.
Yes.
For a cinema community who doesn't know, AMC offers this program. It's called Screen Unseen. It's a chance to see movies before their initial theatrical release. If you're a horror movie fan, they have those too. It's called Screen Unseen. This month, AMC offered Arthur the King as their Screen Unseen pick. Fortunately, I didn't see most of it because I fell asleep a third of the way through the movie.
You were sleep unseen. Also, Regal Theaters also offers this very same program.
That's very true. We've been able to feature a couple films doing this too.
Exactly. But you were tired.
I was out of it. Last thing I remember is they're in the jungle. They just escaped the cliff and I woke up and the dog's in the hospital. I'm like, wait, what happened? Who won?
Now, do you want to say, is this diagnostic, meaning it was such a slow movie? Because we were pretty excited about this. We like Wahlberg.
As the movie went on, I just got more tired. And it didn't start off that way. Let's put it that way.
That's a tough one. The movie isn't overly long. It's not like 3-hour saga. It's a little over an hour and a half. And yet... But we went and we saw it a second time.
We love our cinema community so much. We want to give you an honest review. We went to go see it on opening day.
I'm laughing. You're like, yeah, no sleepy reviews here. There was honestly a lot to like about this movie. The acting, like we said, Mark Wahlberg.
The acting in this movie was good. I felt like the story, this little Hollywoodized. It's like, there's a dog. I have to save the dog. Oh, look, he saved me. We're now a little family. It was just...
What, these things don't happen in your world?
More like the cats.
Yeah, the cats show up and it's like, oh. Okay, but let's talk about that. It's a clean movie, a little bit of language, I will say.
There's one comment involving church bells, though.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Well, we won't spoil that for our cinema community who goes to see it. But I know this now. But in general, I mean, it's a happy story, right? Michael, who's, Mark Wahlberg has, kind of an existential crisis of sorts and can't quite figure out who he is outside of this racing piece, tries to get some sponsors, and wham, bam, bam, he's back.
This feels like a movie I'd watch on Netflix.
Oof.
And it's like, all right, we've got nowhere else to shop it to. Netflix.
Wow. All right. I'll admit, maybe I liked it a little bit more.
I think you like this movie way more than I did.
There were things to like, though. The cinematography.
I was really interested to see how the cinematography changed from setting to setting. You have the challenge of this depicting a real life event, but you still want to create a film around it. So there was a definitive documentary style like filmmaking at some points in the film, but then there's other times where it's like you're very clearly watching a Hollywood movie.
It felt Hollywoody. I liked it. Mark Wahlberg was gathering together a team, and he went to each person. A few of them he had already known. A few of them he'd burned bridges from previous races, like you were talking about the pride that was getting in the way. But it allowed you to get to know each person before he was just thrust in this race with these people. It was like, oh, he has a relationship with this person. Oh, you got to know this person. Oh, it felt more cohesive to me that way. And it didn't take too much time to do it. That part I appreciate. It wasn't like, oh, a half hour later now he's going to... It moved pretty quickly. And even the story with Arthur the dog, there were some parts where even they were saying, wow, how did the dog find us? We're here. Oh my gosh. It wasn't as if, the audience is going, where's the dog? Oh, now the dog shows up. They were aware of that. And how much was Hollywoodized? Yeah, I think there was a little bit of the Hollywoodizing it for sure. But in general, it wasn't terrible though.
I maybe have just seen way too many of these movies where it just feels like, oh, come on. Of course this is going to happen.
Fair enough. But I will say it's a true story. Love the true story aspect. The screenwriting, I was laughing because there wasn't too much dialogue. And I've talked about it before in Cocoon Cast. Too much dialogue exhausts me when they say nothing. And honestly, it was quiet at different points. I know our second showing...
There's a lot more people.
Because our team saw it twice. But in the second showing, more people behind us were kind of chattering at different points, but they weren't interrupting the dialogue. I found that interesting, that it just kind of lulled and there was some quiet and people were like, oh, talk about this and this and this. And to me, that was interesting.
Like their focus kind of snapped to the movie when it was important.
When people were talking, they went, which was nice. I always appreciate that. But people felt engaged. There were a few parts of peril. And I know what you're saying. It was like, oh, here we go. But people seemed engrossed. Like, oh, do you think they're going to, what do you think is going to happen? And so it did feel like people were invested in the characters. I know Simu Liu, we just saw him as Ken. I was laughing. I'm like, Ken's back. Oh my gosh, Ken's an adventure guy. He played a really interesting role. He wasn't automatically love Mark Wahlberg. He was like, hey, you burned me last time. I'm not sure, buddy.
I did like the fact that Mark Wahlberg's character, Michael, had to kind of journey uphill in more than one way. He wasn't this perfect family guy that we've seen him in so many of these movies. He was a flawed individual, and you get just enough hints of his flaws that you're not like, oh my gosh, this guy is like an irredeemable jerk. Of course he needs a dog to save him.
That's a great point, though, because it's hard because I like Mark Wahlberg, so it's tricky to say I like him, but in this character, it's like you said, there was enough of him not to like, and I think that was okay, but there was also the part where, again, this movie does economize things pretty quickly, but it does give enough space where you're like, oh, you do see where he comes back to his team and redeems himself, and even with the dog, and there is some growth at the end of the movie.
I think it helps that Simon Selin-Jones has worked with Mark Wahlberg before.
That is correct.
So he definitely has a little bit of experience when it comes to strengths with his actors.
I appreciated that. And the cinematography we talked about, I enjoyed the cinematography. I don't think you enjoyed it as much as I did.
For a lot of the scenes, it felt like, what's the way we can do this? Okay, let's do it.
Meaning it was just too straightforward. It wasn't creative enough, or what was that?
Yeah, that was kind of my thought. There was one scene, though, I did like. There's an early moment of peril, I think, that highlighted the strengths of the movie that I've talked about in terms of the cinematography.
And you're trying definitely not to spoil it, correct?
Definitely.
Okay. It sounds I'm like, wow, you're cagey. I'm like, oh, that's why you're cagey. Okay.
That's why I'm cagey. Spoiler-free zone over here, everybody.
Right. The other part of the movie that I'll be honest with you, I didn't catch the first time. A little of it I did, like, oh, okay, this is okay. But the music was really great in this movie.
I was surprised. I looked a little bit later. The composer, Kevin Malley, also worked on the previous Simon Selin-Jones collab with Mark Wahlberg that I've mentioned. So I thought it was kind of cool because you have all these main people that create an emotional bearing on the story, and they're playing off of each other. If any one of these components in this triangle of filmmaking falls, you'll definitely notice it.
That's, I think, the thing for me is it felt strong. It's based on a book. Admittedly, I have not read the book. However, after seeing the movie, I would read the book because it is based on Mark Wahlberg's character is Michael, but Mikael, he's actually from Sweden, from my understanding. He toured, he talked about, Arthur. So there's a whole undercurrent to this book or this story that I'd never even really heard of. And this was just a few years ago, 2014, maybe, okay, about 10 years ago. But yeah, I know it all feels like a few years ago, but about 10 years ago, that would be in our lifetime, and that would be something that we would know. And I'm like, I've never really heard about it.
I think it's kind of cool, though, that this became a pet project, it sounds like, of everybody who was involved. Like, they really wanted to bring this story to life and not just kind of languish in the pages of a book, but say, this is something that people need to see because they might relate to it and they might use it to make a difference.
This feels like a movie, not just a book. I agree with you. There's more energy around the movie aspect of it.
Okay.
Do we have any questions from the box?
Movies that are based on true stories is a common thing and something we actually enjoy most of the time. Do you think this true story made for a good movie?
I wouldn't have expected this to be a good movie. I would have expected this to be like a newspaper article. I think they definitely took the time to try and work this into a movie. There's a lot of depth given to the various players involved. That being said, it was kind of an average movie to me.
Fair enough.
And below average in some ways as well.
I think the risk is always when you turn a book into a movie, like you were talking about, kind of Hollywoodize it, or just kind of everything's big and dramatic. That's the part where I'm like, I would find it interesting to see how dramatic does the book make it. But to me, the story translated well. I think one of the strengths was it moved quick enough. Obviously, the dog is a big part. Arthur's in the title. It's going to be about the dog. But I liked the fact that it talked about Michael's other relationships and his growth as a person, his marriage, his relationship with his daughter. There's an early scene where he comes in there and his daughter wants to paint his nails. And he said, hey, not the eyebrows and the mustache this time, which was really cute. And so there was the part where I appreciated that. To me, that did make for a good movie.
I also think one of the strengths of this being a film adaptation is you get to see what Arthur was up to.
Yes.
Before he met Mikael and his team. So I think that allowed them to parallel their journeys quite nicely.
That's true. And it wasn't only Arthur, which I don't know if I don't know if the book is only Arthur. Do we have any other questions from the box?
Do you need to be a pet person to really enjoy this? Or is there more things for folks that maybe aren't huge pet lovers?
I think this is definitely a pet person movie. There's certain emotional beats that will land with you more if you have an animal in your life that you deeply care about. That being said, I think the sports journey aspect is also interesting. You really see each of the characters meld as a team, but also grow in their own individual ways as well.
This movie in some ways reminds me of a movie the box and I saw, and we actually saw it a couple times. We actually thought it was kind of cute. It was Dog Days.
Oh, I remember that one. You made me watch it.
I was going to say, I think, you came over and we kind of roped you into watching it at one point. But it is around the animals, but it's around how the dogs facilitate other relationships. And it's kind of like a little rom-com kind of a thing. You would think, oh no, if you don't like dogs, you're not going to like this. But it actually turned out to be quite cute and fun. This movie, I agree with the box, right? It does help to be a pet lover. And as you said, it provides more depth. But you made a great point around the sports piece. If you love sports, mountain climbing, biking, and extreme sports, you're probably going to like parts of this movie a lot. Rebecca, it is that time of the show. I have 5 moss, and I have a feeling, just a feeling. What do you think? 1 to 5.
Oof, 1 and a wing.
Ooh, wow, 1 and a wing. Number 1 and 2 and 3 reasons why 1 and a wing.
There's a reason I fell asleep during the first time with this movie, and I was fighting to stay awake during the second time. This movie is bland to me. I felt like there could have been more time focused on the characters to give them more depth outside of maybe 5 minutes each of character growth.
Hey, it was a short movie. What do you want? Well then, how about me doing 5? Alrighty, 1 to 5, 1 to 5. I would say... I wish we had 3/4 of a moth. That's all I'm saying. I would say it's a 3.
Okay.
It is above average to me. The acting pushed it over the top. The true story element, I appreciated. And honestly, had it only been about Arthur, I would have been like, And there were some ups and downs with Arthur, a little bit of peril, chaos ensued. There were some things where you don't know how will this ultimately turn out. There was a brief epilogue at the end. There were family pictures. All right, fine. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. That made me feel a little warm and fuzzy. I believe that did help it become a better movie. However, is it worlds above average? It's not. But is it above average? Yeah, it is. Is it worth a watch? I think it is. I'm laughing. I hesitate to go see it in the theater. Rebecca's almost fallen asleep twice. Maybe no.
That should tell you something, too. You're hesitating to recommend it.
I'm laughing. I'm teasing you more than anything. But I do think it's a good weeknight movie. I think it could be a good date night movie. Other than the strong language, a little of the peril, I think, older kids might enjoy it. I hesitate with the kids, probably the teenagers, because there was a few choice language pieces like, oh, hey, that probably didn't need to be there.
If you're going to go see Arthur the King, comment below. Tell us what you thought of it. Or maybe just comment your other favorite dog movie. We'd love to hear that too.
If you enjoyed our review on Arthur the King, please like, which helps more viewers find our cinema community. And subscribe. It really helps us out and you won't miss any upcoming reviews. And please share with your friends. Rebecca, it is that time of the show where we talk about who we are not sponsored by this week.
So you're going to tell me who we're not sponsored by for 3 minutes. Oh, boy.
Yes, I am. Let's talk about it. Today we are not sponsored by Blue Buffalo.
Oh, I like them. Why aren't they sponsoring us?
I love it. Arthur the King, Blue Buffalo. Oh, wait, hold on. I like the food.
They keep my cat happy. What else can I say?
Your cat is very happy with Blue Buffalo food.
Yes, he is.
I thought they would be perfect in the movie. Mark Wahlberg starts feeding Arthur meatballs, and I thought, we don't really have meatballs, and we don't really feed our pets meatballs. However, some people will not feed their pets meatballs, but they will use Blue Buffalo food.
Better than meatballs? That should be their new slogan, huh?
That should be their new slogan. Let's talk about their company. They have quite an interesting story. They started with the Bishop family. They're actually the founders, and they have a dog. Well, excuse me. They used to have a dog. They had a dog named Blue.
Or I thought you could say they have a pet buffalo. His name was Blue.
No, it's a real dog, and he was diagnosed with cancer. Real, sad dog story. So Dad and his sons started looking for the best. This sounds like a story too, right?
Yeah.
Started looking for the best pet food for Blue because he's part of their family. They couldn't find it. So guess what they did?
They made it.
They did. They whipped up this healthy dog food and bam, the foundation of Blue Buffalo began in 2003.
Oh, so not that long ago either.
Not that long ago either. Quite interesting. So this, I bet you will not know. Since 2004, they have helped raise over $30 million for education, research, life-saving treatment around pet cancer.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, so they put their kibbles where it counts, right?
Yep.
I think it's great. The most interesting thing that I found, I was going on their website because obviously when I'm calling these people, I have to know what's going on. They literally have a slideshow of Blue. He's like over here running around with their family. Cute dog, really cute dog. There's even a picture of, I think it's one of his sons was getting married. I think there's 3 of them. And all of a sudden you're looking, you're like, oh, they're all dressed. They're dressed. And all of a sudden they go, family, kid. And all of a sudden Blue is in the wedding picture. This dog was a big deal. The other thing I love is you look and they talk about 162 ingredients.
Do they explain like why they chose them?
Yeah, and why they're important and why your pet, your kitty or your dog. Right? Our kitties grew up on Blue Buffalo also. I thought that was fascinating. And say you're like, I'm not a fan. I don't know anything about these people other than they have dogs in their wedding picture. There's actually a tab if you go on their website and you can put in the cat food or the dog food you use, and they will give you a little rating. They'll say, this is why it's good, this is why it's not good. And then they compare the Blue Buffalo to what you're currently feeding your pet.
So if you want to swap to Blue Buffalo, you know what you're getting.
Exactly. So it's not just, hey, trust us, wink, wink, wink. It really is, hey, here's what you need to know.
Thanks, Blue Buffalo, for donating to pet cancer. But also thank you for not sponsoring us.
That's why they can't sponsor us, because they're donating to pet cancer. I feel so guilty for asking them now. Maybe I should have asked somebody else. I'm going to ask somebody else next week.
Sounds good.
I think it's a good idea.
It's that time of the show where we want to hear from you. We'd love to see your comments on our videos, especially your rating of the movie and why. Now let's talk about some of those cool comments we've been getting, Teresa.
First up, we have Matthew Roman 6807 commented on our short for Cabrini. Here's what he had to say. Gangs of New York with nuns? Oh, wow. I've been hearing good things on this one. Can't wait to see your review. Thanks.
It's exactly what it says on the tin. Gangs of New York with nuns. I do recognize Matthew has commented on our previous videos, so it's nice to see you still an active part of our cinema community.
I'm laughing. I have nothing else to say. It really is. It's nuns with,
no guns.
No, they don't, but they're great. This is a great movie. Hopefully, Matthew, if you have a chance to see it, tell us what you think.
For everybody else in the cinema community, here's your reminder to rewatch Gangs of New York.
Oh, wow. Back to Scorsese.
Best U2 song.
Oh, Debatable. Next up, we have JW77 who commented on our 60-second review of Kung Fu Panda 4. Here's what they had to say. Sounds like a fun movie. Thanks for your review.
3 exclamation points.
60 seconds or less. I would also say for our cinema community who is not familiar with our 60-second review, there are so many movies we want to see and review. Unfortunately, we don't have all the time. Rebecca doesn't have all the energy. Yeah. But we try, every movie we see, we try to give it some love. Sometimes it's a big weekend show. Sometimes it's a shorter review. Even the 60-second ones, you're going to walk away knowing more, and you're also going to get a recommendation as to whether or not we think you should go see the movie.
It's pretty straightforward and sweet. Just how we like it sometimes.
Right.
Finally, we have True Bag Pipe Rock commenting on our review of Cabrini. Here's what they had to say. Patron saint of immigrants, quite a woman. I liked the movie, but agree with the critics of it. It was not really a faith film. It was toned down for the masses. I think that's because Cabrini was a very practical gal, and I think anything else other than that would be a disservice to her and her personality.
You would like that part of it, though. You were talking about that during our review last week, that you like the boots on the ground and how practical she was.
I do. I definitely would have liked to seen a little bit more faith elements, but I really appreciate seeing her in action.
Exactly. Thank you for the comment. Now it's time for some Hollywood news. Rebecca.
Well, you kind of spoiled this article last week, so...
Oh, the hint of the article. Ooh, do share.
I'm sure you're very well aware that Ryan Gosling is coming out with another film soon.
Yeah, Glenn doesn't deserve her. All he cares about possessions. Fancy cars, CD players. Even women are possessions to him.
Yeah. See, Billy Idol gets it. I don't know why she doesn't get it.
I have seen such trailers more than once and am actively looking forward to it.
In 3, 2, 1, action.
Actually, one of the trailers was shown during the Super Bowl. The Fall Guy.
Anyone but him.
Yeah, it's currently under review embargo.
Spielberg? What?
We're getting to that.
Oh, it's a thing.
For those of you in our cinema community who don't know what a review embargo is, it's basically the studio saying, you can see our film, you just can't talk about it until we say you can.
And yet here we are.
Well, Steven Spielberg saw it, so there goes that idea.
Tell us more. Steven Spielberg and Ryan Gosling. Two people I actually am enjoying talking about. Do share.
Ryan told this story to Zach Sharf at Variety that Steven Spielberg saw his movie, came over to give him a hug, and told him he really likes his movie.
I laugh. I don't know if he's supposed to say anything, and he's like, but Spielberg hugged me. I would be, no kidding, if Spielberg hugged me, I'd be like, yeah, come on.
I just rather he say he likes my movie.
Oh, well, you're that kind. You're like, thank you for liking my movie. I'd be like, oh, Spielberg likes it.
Movie, hug. You, hug, movie.
Right. If I get a Spielberg hug, what movie? What movie? What movie? Yeah, no, right? This is exciting.
It's interesting to me to see this because Gosling is also pointing out that a lot of the stunts in this movie are designed to be practical. So, of course, Steven's going to be interested in that. I mean, you can't hire a real shark to chew up somebody's boat, but hey, the man appreciates filmmaking.
Okay, we get to pull this back. Practical. Okay, you've seen the trailers. He's hanging from a helicopter. He's, people are shooting at him.
Too dangerous. Gotta be stairs. Okay.
He's running all the way. It's like, oh yeah, these are like practical. Let's talk what that means, because I think it means something different in my little world than it does in the real life world.
In my world, it means that they're not going to be CGIing a random blob guy who got LiDAR scanned and looks like Ryan Gosling.
Wow. Okay. Well, you can pick him out with the little pink suit and the little bedazzled everywhere.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
Singing with a bunch of Kens right behind him.
I'm just kidding. Anywhere else I'd be a take. Is it my destiny to live and die a life of blind fragility?
Yeah, right.
How much did you say, 67?
67? Yes. I'm laughing all the little Fall Guys. But I was laughing. We were talking about the Fall Guy. I'm like, my brother used to watch this show.
I had never heard of this show.
It didn't connect with me. And they're like, the Fall Guy. And I'm like, oh, Emily Blunt. She's super funny. Oh, this is going to be cute. Ryan Gosling. Oh, this is going to be great. And then it's, oh, the what? The show? I'm like, oh my gosh. I remember the show with my brother.
I did some perfunctory research after they mentioned this, and
Yes.
the only name I remember is Lee Majors. But
Lee
he was
Majors.
the $6 million man.
He was the $6 million man. I used to have the $6 million, or no, my brother used to have the $6 million man doll, and I had the Bionic Woman doll. Occasionally they would connect and, share their little circuitry.
I don't know what to do with that information.
I figured you did not. Do we have any questions from the box?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had some interesting things around the stuntman. This looks really funny versus that being kind of serious, but also being funny. Do you think this is going to be really funny, or do you think there's going to be more drama than people realize?
I'd say based on the trailer, I think this is aiming for really funny. I love to see Hollywood kind of poke at themselves. A straightforward example, pun intended, was Argo. I really just enjoyed how they poked at the filmmaking process and how other people might see it.
Argo what?
Argo, fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to be funny.
Why me?
You're a stuntman. Nobody's going to notice you. That's your job. No offense.
I mean, some taking.
But it looks funny, but it looks a little bit like a rom-com kind of a thing. I don't think it's going to be like, and then I became a stuntman, and I wanted to at the age of 5 because of my parents. I don't think this is going to be a therapy session. I think it's going to be funny, and Emily Blunt can be really funny, too.
What do we do, boss? Really?
Yeah.
Holster that.
Yeah, it's holstered. It's done. Forget. You never saw it.
I'm happy to see Ryan Gosling lean his comedic chops. There's a really iconic skit where he just breaks down laughing because Kate McKinnon is describing this alien survivor therapy, basically.
Yeah, if that comes in, I'm going to be like, oh, man, both of you have failed me. As much as I hate leaving Spielberg and Ryan Gosling, I think it may be time to ask you what else is happening. What else is happening?
You're going to be so glad you did.
Ooh.
We have an official Spinal Tap sequel.
Oh my God!
We are Spinal Tap from the UK. You must be the USA.
No.
It goes to 11, baby.
This is a top to, what we use on stage, but it's very, very special because if you can see, the numbers all go to 11. Look, right across the board. 11, 11,
and most of
11,
the
and then
amps go up to 10.
Exactly.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it? It's not 10. You see, most blokes, be playing at 10. You're on 10 here, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. You're on 10 on your guitar. Where can you go from there? Where?
I don't know.
Nowhere, exactly. What we do is if we need that extra push over the cliff, you know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly. One louder.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Oh, it does. Wow. Where are you reading this from?
Thank you, Deadline and Andreas Weisman.
Somebody else is super excited about this. I remember Spinal Tap. I saw it in original release. My best friend and I, we went and we saw it. And for the first 5 minutes, we're like, oh, this might be not real. We were watching, we're like, first we're like, it's real, it's real. And then we're like, oh, this isn't real. And then it was funny.
It's like you become one with the guys in the band. I mean, there's no division. You just, the music just unites people with the players.
And then we saw it, we went back and saw it again, then we saw it with some other people. And yes, I figured it out when, Billy Crystal's walking around miming for money and all this.
I did the bird. Do the dead bird. Changes, get the dwarf cannolis, the little ones, okay?
All right, I did the bird.
Come on, don't talk back, huh? Mime is money. Let's go. Come on, move it.
Mime
Same
is
as
money.
it ever was.
Same as, I love it. Mime is money, mime is money. Oh, that's a crazy movie. Christopher Guest back in the day.
Do you play do you actually play all these, or?
Well, I play them and I cherish them. Mm-hmm. This is the top of the heap right here. There's no question about it. Look at the flame on that one.
Yes.
Look, it's quite unbelievable. This one is just, it's perfect. 1959. You can listen.
How much is
just
this?
listen for a minute. The sustain. Listen to it.
I'm not hearing anything.
You would though if it were playing because it's famous for its sustain. I mean, you can just hold it.
Well, so you'd have to play.
You can go and have a bite. No, you still be hearing that one.
Yeah.
Still fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, Rob Reiner. Oh. All right.
Last time Tap toured America, they were booked into 10,000-seat arenas and 15,000-seat venues. And it seems that now, on the current tour, they're being booked into 1,200-seat arenas, 1,500-seat arenas. And I was just wondering, does this mean the popularity of the group is waning?
Oh, no, not at all. I just think that that their appeal is becoming more selective.
Sorry, going back memory lane. When's this coming out? It's been announced.
Honestly, I don't know. All the news we got was that it started production and that there might be a Paul McCartney cameo.
Ooh. Oh, anybody else or?
Elton John is in it.
Oh my God.
Questlove.
Okay, I don't know who or what Questlove is.
He's fantastic. You'll love him.
Oh, it's a he. All right. I'm like, with that name, how do you know? Is it like a band? Is it a family? Is it some?
It's a dude who worked for Jimmy Fallon. He was his band leader, and he's hilarious. He also did a fair amount of music documentaries, too.
Oh, wow. I'm like behind the scenes, girl. I'm like, I know nothing. I'm like looking in, going, okay.
If it makes you feel any better, there's one person on this list I don't know.
Oh, now I feel better already.
Trisha Yearwood. Apparently she's a semi-famous country singer.
I've heard of her.
Oh, you've heard of her, but you haven't heard of Questlove.
Okay, come on. Questlove. Yeah, whoosh. Yeah, right. This sounds exciting. I don't even know what to say.
Well, I'm especially excited because Rob Reiner is directing the film.
Oh, he really is?
Yeah, it totally is.
Wow.
The other thing is the rights to the original film are being shopped as a package deal.
Oh.
Which I know the box is going to be very happy about because he has an extra special copy of the original Spinal Tap.
So Criterion did a laser disc for our cinema community that knows what that is, of Spinal Tap that had a lot of extras on it. And then they did a DVD set based on that material from the Laserdisc. And so I bought it. And it literally has 2 extra hours of film footage. There are hour-long plot lines that they cut out of the film. One involving the limo driver.
Excuse me. Are you reading Yes, I Can?
Yeah. Have you read it?
Yeah, by Sammy Davis Jr.?
Yeah.
You know what the title of that book should be? Yes, I Can, if Frank Sinatra says it's okay. Because Frank calls the shots for all those guys. Did you get to the part yet where Sammy's coming out of the Copa, and it's about 3 o'clock in the morning, and he sees Frank. Frank's walking down Broadway by himself. Limeys.
Well, you know, they're not used to that world. Frank Sinatra, it's a different world that they're in.
You know, it's just people like this, you know, they get all they want, so they don't really understand, about a life like Frank's. I mean, when you've loved and lost the way Frank has, then you know what life's about.
Where he's partying with Spinal Tap all the time and getting drunk and smashed and everything else. And then there's this whole plot line around a groupie who sleeps with every member of Spinal Tap, and then this cold sore keeps appearing on the different band members' faces to the whole groupie thing. So anyways, so there's 2 hours of plot lines that got completely cut out. Then Criterion found out they legally didn't own the rights anymore, so they had to yank it. And so now you cannot get that. I own one. You can buy them on eBay for a couple $100 from people that actually bought one. Then MGM came out with theirs because they had the rights, and I bought that. And it's got more footage. He's got these commercials where they're dressed up in lederhosen, rolling cheese wheels down the mountain, and that was what they put in the theaters as their trailer. It had nothing to do with music. It's guys in lederhosen rolling large cheese wheels down a mountain, and that was the commercial they put out, which again had nothing to do with music.
Hi, I'm Rob Reiner. I've just directed my first feature film for Embassy Pictures. It's called Spinal Tap. It's a comedy about a British rock and roll band. I'd love to show you a clip, but as you can see, we're still editing here. I know I should show you something, and I found this piece of film lying around the editing room. It's not from my picture, but I think you'll find it interesting and quite informative.
The call of the Alpenhorn echoes across the Danskin Peninsula, part of Denmark's cheese belt, signaling to all those with nothing better to do the start of Scandinavia's happiest tradition, the Kjelgenfjorst, or Cheese Festival.
So there's these 2 editions out there that have all this extra footage and all this crazy zaniness, but the Criterion one is definitely very, very special.
Wow, I won't confirm or deny I've seen any of those videos.
Will you confirm or deny that you've actually seen them in concert, though?
Oh, right, you have.
Okay, come right up to me, Mr. Lowry. He's going to give you some 3D glasses, because this next song is in 3D.
But we only have one pair, so you're going to have to enjoy it vicariously.
Put them on.
Through.
Now, do us a favor and show the audience that you're wearing 3D glasses so they can
Show
see
the
it.
audience. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you wearing 3D glasses for 2? Okay.
Because you folks are going to experience the 3D vicariously through this young lady. And we advise you to get a good firm stance because this 3D stuff can really blow your mind.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're like, oh no. It's like, no. I recall a certain smaller version of yourself joining, yes, with us. Yeah, right? We like Spinal Tap. This is what we're saying. Do we have any questions from the box?
Spinal Tap definitely has a cult following. I mean, there are people that are like me that are totally into it. But do you think a sequel will go large? Or will it be more like a slow burn where they're gaining momentum slowly from the cult following?
That's a good question. There's a few sequels, I think, that could kind of answer this question. Say, like, Zoolander 2. Just saying it out loud makes you laugh. Huh?
Yeah, right. No, that's a crazy movie, too.
I think Spinal Tap has enough brand recognition, if you will, to stand on its own, but also enhance the experience of the fans that came before it. There's definitely a revival in some music movies that I wasn't expecting this year, like Stop Making Sense. I think that Spinal Tap has the potential to do either one really well, and that you have the original band back together, and let's face it, they're iconic in their circle. I think they can do it. I'm really excited.
I also think a whole new generation. Obviously, you're younger, right? I had seen it in original theatrical release. You didn't have a chance.
Nope.
You were brainwashed.
In ancient times, hundreds of years before the dawn of history, lived an ancient race of people. The Druids.
But I would say I think they're edgy enough, they're funny enough, they're relatable enough in the whole satire piece that people of your generation that maybe didn't grow up with them, or people maybe a little bit younger than you, I think they would find them funny for what they are.
In their genre, their jokes still land because they're still relatable.
We still reference so many lines and oh my goodness, it's just so ridiculous. But it obviously Christopher Guest didn't direct this one, but that whole mockumentary feel is just a genre that we find quite enjoyable.
You also have to consider all of the actors involved, especially the main principal players, have grown as comedians.
That is true.
One example I really want to give is A Mighty Wind. It's a family favorite of ours, but it also shows you the love and care that comes behind these types of movies.
We talk about like Harry Shearer, but Michael McKean, it's hilarious because we've seen him. We saw him in Better Call Saul. I remember him back in like Lenny and Squiggy and Laverne and Shirley, all of this. But we had went to one of his lectures a couple years back. You remember that? And he was, very analytical and having this big, deep discussion and talking about his wife and some other, things. So it really, it's just this whole range of how long people have been out there and what they're putting out.
What they're putting out, eh?
That's what she said.
Yeah, exactly. Well, apparently might get a cold sore for that. Do we have any other questions from the box?
Since we love Spinal Tap, we have a second question. The second question would be cameos. I mean, there are so many possibilities. Who do you want to see?
I'm going to make Mom either wince or laugh really hard with this.
No.
I want to see you two cameo in this purely
bad
because I want them to poke at Bono's public reputation as being this humanitarian nice guy. I want him to have this one-sided feud with the band.
Oh.
And
you have a whole plot line, so it's not even just a cameo. It's a plot line.
I want them to have this one-sided feud with the band because I want them to feel like they're always getting better than them. Or maybe like Ozzy Osbourne because he'd be in the same genre.
Oh, interesting. That would be interesting, kind of the rivalry of rival. Oh, all right.
And they don't even know who they are. I think it would be really funny because like Black Sabbath or U2 is like, these are some of the biggest bands on the planet that are recognizable in their space, and you don't know who they are.
That would be funny. I will give you that. You have the last word on that one. That is funny. Thanks for joining us this week. We're always excited to create experiences to bring our cinema community together.
Next week, we're excited to be reviewing Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Hopefully it won't get a chilly reception. And on our Movies and More weekly show, the new movie, You Can Call Me Bill.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and to share our channel.
If you enjoyed this show, you might check out last week where we reviewed One Life. And on our Movies and More weekly show, we reviewed Cabrini.
Remember, cinema community movies are better together. Thanks for watching. See you in the next review.